Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today for this data sovereignty talk. My name is Sharda Prasad. I will walk you through the talk. Let us start. Data sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is a critical concept in cloud computing, and AWS has made significant advancement in addressing this concern. Data sovereignty, a key element of the digital sovereignty, refers to the concept that data is subject to the laws and regulations of the location where it is collected or processed or stored. The cloud computing is primarily a way of doing data processing through the commodity hardware. And that commodity hardware is basically, most of the time, it's shared and it is across the boundaries of the countries, which perhaps may transfer your data from one law jurisdiction to another law jurisdiction, meaning from one country to another country. And that gives you the optimum minimum cost, basically. But as an user, we will always not require that kind of data movement when we have some critical data, which is bound to be governed by a national jurisdiction. So we would require some proper governance and how that data movements are controlled, how they can be made more secure, and rather, I'll say, how they can be made sovereign. Right. So that is precisely here we have in this talk. The key pillars of data sovereignty are data residency. And for that, AWS provides controls to ensure data remains in specific geographic locations, meaning the regions basically. And within those regions, you may have different availability zone, and then you may have different the network, physical network segregated in data centers. Granular access, implementing strict access control to limit data access to authorized parties. Right? So if you are not authorized, you cannot access the data, right? So to give access to the authorized parties only. Encryption, offering robust encryption capabilities for data at rest, in transit, and in memory. So encryption would always be a key thing when we store, we process, or we transfer data in the cloud. Resiliency is one of the characteristic of cloud computing, and which means ensuring operations can continue during disruption or disconnection. Because if you have your network spread across the globe, there are chances of disruptions. And making your things available to your customer within those disruptions can be termed as resiliency. Right? So these are the four key pillars of data sovereignty: maintaining resiliency, maintaining granular access control, maintaining data residency, and maintaining key data encryption, right, would definitely give you the data sovereignty. So let us see which all AWS capabilities and infrastructure helps us in maintaining data sovereignty. AWS Control Tower is one of the key services, basically. This service includes purpose-built control to help customers meet digital sovereignty requirement, covering various aspects of data governance and security. Under control towers, you may have landing zone, you may have organizational units, and so on. You may have your service control policies, and so this is the key capability, basically, which perhaps you would be using when you have to maintain your data sovereignty requirement. What are the infrastructure basically at infrastructure level? AWS European Sovereign Cloud is one of the uh, region where these things are implemented inherently. And maybe you have GOP clouds in North America as well. So AWS has announced plans for an independent cloud infrastructure in Europe, designed specifically to meet evolving sovereignty requirements for public sector and highly regulated industries, primarily secure digital data for the maybe the country defense or maybe some critical data which you would require high level of security. So AWS Digital Sovereignty Competency is one of the initiative and which AWS has established uh, very recently, in fact. So AWS has established a program connecting customers with trusted partners who can help leverage cloud benefits while meeting compliance and regulatory requirements. To implement digital sovereignty measures on AWS, you should consider following: utilizing AWS Control Tower for governance and compliance, which just discussed; implementing data residency control using appropriate AWS services; leveraging encryption services across your AWS environment; working with AWS digital sovereignty competency partners for specialized solutions. So you can always search for AWS sovereignty competency partner and get help from them. This is a simple use case, hypothetical use case we've created here. How to maintain data sovereignty. As we've been talking about moving your monolithic data patterns to modern data mesh patterns, right? So let us say we have a entity called Vivask here, which is global, and we want to serve the customer in Europe and North America. So how we would achieve that thing, right? So a global Inc. Vivask can use a data mesh to enable its European branches to handle customers' data in compliance with GDPR. So this GDPR is basically the European data compliance standard, and you can use GDPR in the European, so that perhaps we can say is one of the domain. Simultaneously, its North American branches manage data under CCPA, maybe the California, that you have this standard basically, all while leveraging insights across regions through governed aggregated data products that respect regulatory boundaries. Right. So look at this thing. If we've asked European branches, this is maybe your product domain, and we've asked American branches, that is another producer domain. Right. So these are the data producers, and domain one and domain two, they are the consumers of these data products, basically. How those consumer would be basically accessing the data, and here comes your data mesh, the decentralized governance part, right? So with the help of this data mesh, your different domains, as in consumer, can access data from the different data product domains, basically, right? And this is how the data sovereignty can be maintained using the modern data architecture, data mesh. Right? We have already talked about how data mesh can be implemented. We have a couple of options, so maybe in a couple of weeks we will demonstrate a few of them, if time permits. With this, I'll conclude this talk here, and thank you very much for your time and patience, and see you in the next talk.